All right, it's time for this week's Shot Clock. It's the bit every week where we get Kieran Donaghy on the line or in studio to tell us what's what with the world of sport and to make some very accurate predictions, except when it comes to the last Open. Kieran, good morning to you. How you doing?
Morning, Ger. How's the farm?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Unfortunately, you've got a bit more free time in your hands, and that's where we're going to start this week. We're talking about the Leinster Hurling Championship. It's first up. We've got 2 minutes to get to the point here. In fairness, the Leinster Hurling Championship has been absolutely sensational. You were involved with the Galway hurlers this year, so you come out on just the wrong side of one of the most dramatic days that's happened in GAA, really, that I can ever imagine.
Yeah, it was obviously, look, it was tough from the Galway point of view. But we talked so much last year about the Munster Hurling Championship, and Tipperary put on a few good shows this year. But the Leinster Hurling Championship has been unbelievable. It's been some roller coaster of a journey for, I would say, a Wexford fan. To draw 3 games, to draw against Dublin, draw against Kilkenny, and then draw against Galway. Draws are hard in hurling because there's so many scores, but for the fans of Davy Fitz, and even for Davy Fitz's ticker, it's putting serious pressure on the fans going to support the Wexford boys. And the Galway Kilkenny game below in Nolan Park was absolutely epic, electric atmosphere. The Dublin Galway game, Dublin were outstanding in Parnell Park, and just the atmosphere at these games, and we even talk about it in the football championship reform, that you're trying to get bigger crowds into more suitable venues, and these were epic encounters. You put that Dublin and Galway game into Croke Park with a big, huge, wide open spaces, and Galway probably get the win, but because the space is there's more space in Croke Park, there's less of an atmosphere, where it was real partisan stuff there the last day. But yeah, an unbelievable Leinster Hurling Championship, and sets up the All-Ireland series. Sets up the All-Ireland series now for all teams that have gone through. Yeah, but from my own point of view, obviously, the Galway boys were very unlucky in the end, really, when you think about it, because coming off the pitch, we were through. And just as we were getting to the dressing room, obviously that Wexford free put us out. But they'll feel tough, having gone down beating Kilkenny in Nolan Park and won at home, and that draw with Wexford. It's tough. But look, to fight with 4 teams and 5 points, and really exciting stuff.
Yeah, it was really exciting stuff. I think the point you made there shouldn't get lost about the venues. That if we think about things and go, well, what size crowd is going to be at this game, and put it in a suitable venue, the game itself gets better. It's not just about facilitating the crowd, it's about the environment, and the experience for everybody gets better. We need to stop using Croke Park for most of the games that we use Croke Park for.
100%, yeah. Just exactly what you said. Just look at what crowd we think we're going to get and bring it to a venue that's suitable, and you'll have a great atmosphere. And once you have a great atmosphere, players rise their game always, and you'll get better games. And for the people that go, they're having a better experience. Kids are kind of blown away by an experience like the last day. I'm sure every young Dublin hurling fan would have been blown away by Parnell Park last Saturday night.
Okay, where are we going next?
We're going to just the story there yesterday. I just thought it's a great story. The Mayo manager there, Peter Leahy, for the ladies team, they've first of all, I'm absolutely shocked that the ladies don't get mileage for travelling to training. I don't know what's that about. That has to be a greater thing that's looked at overall by the GAA. I can't believe that some of them are paying their own train journeys, paying their own mileage down. But I just thought it was brilliant by Mayo and brilliant by Top Oil to kind of get in behind the ladies team of the county. And just something that, I just wanted to kind of get it out there and see what the story is in other counties and what other ladies teams are doing, because it seems mad to me how all the men get paid mileage to come from Dublin to train, but the ladies don't. It was something that kind of I just took actually for granted. Like Peter Leahy, the manager from Mayo, he thought coming into this setup that obviously it'd be the same, but it wasn't. So just there's an overall message there. But great for the Mayo girls. But what about the other girls around? What about the other women around the country that are doing all this travelling, representing their county, taking time out, training as hard as as hard as anybody does to represent their county, and having to pay themselves for it.
Yeah, and at the moment, of course, we know the GAA and the LGFA and the Camogie Association are all separate bodies. They've got a memorandum of understanding urging each other forward to join up at some point. But if they did join up, then suddenly the mileage issue would have to be sorted out by the GPA and the LGPA coming together and saying, well, whatever the income is for TV rights, we want that to be equally shared amongst the men and the women. Would the men be up for that?
Well, like there's no being up for it. It's just I can't see how you can expect somebody to do a lot of travelling. Like, you do it right, of course you do it. Like, it doesn't cost that much, Ger. Like, if you carpool everybody and you get people together, and it's not like every single person. And we used to do that with Kerry. We'd carpool to sessions to save the county board mileage. So this isn't about players getting money for mileage. This is about trying to make it as feasible for the county board as possible.
Well, you're missing the trick there, Kieran. The way the journalists do it is they carpool and everybody gets the mileage.
All right, okay. That's a good one for me to learn since I'm off the ball now, Ger. Am I a journalist?
Absolutely. Let's go. Next one is stopping the dubs. We've been wanting to ask you this for a couple of weeks. How do you actually stop the dubs? We're asking it to everybody. I mean, there's like a push up in the kickouts. There's a match them man for man. There's like just be good at football. Take every chance that comes your way. What is it? Is it prayer? Is it devotion? How do you stop the dubs?
Yeah, there's a bit of prayers and there's a bit of being good at football are two things that you'll always need on your side. But yeah, no, look, obviously, they haven't been beaten that much in the last 4 years. So they are an incredible team that are hard to beat. But pushing up in the kickouts is easily said, but that's something that needs a lot of work, and it's something that, from a basketball point of view, if we want to set the tone in a basketball game, you go to the press early. So you want to get momentum, you want to get on your side. You either do it that way, or else you do it if you're 20 points behind and you're going into the fourth quarter. You might start the fourth quarter in a press. So I think you've got to be really, every time you're in an attacking position, I think your backs have to be moving up the pitch. So like if a David Clifford has it in corner forward and he's taking on his man, if you're a corner back 145 yards behind him up the pitch, you can't be there. You need to be nearly out in the halfway line, and you need to be pushing the half back up into the half forwards. And when David Clifford kills that ball, you actually know are in a full press, because I just think you can't let Dublin have the ball. If you let Dublin and Cluxton pick you off with kickouts, I think that's just the most important facet of the game. You have to have Dublin put it up 50-50 as many times as possible if you want to try and beat them. One, if they put it out and you're in the press and you win it, you've got bodies forward to get it forward quickly, try and score again, build momentum. So I think that's just the number one thing teams have to look at. Is it's easy getting a press jar from a free. So if you've got a 13-yard free, we did it in 2006 or 2016 against Dublin. Whenever we'd a free, we'd pull our bodies up the pitch and we'd get a kind of a 12-man push, what Dublin are doing to teams now. But I think teams need to be working on doing that from open play. Basically, if go back to the David Clifford incident I was talking about, if David Clifford turns that ball over and you're standing out in the halfway line as a cornerback, the cornerback isn't going to kick it over your head into the corner forward who's 140 yards down the pitch behind you. So it's having the mindset that you're always switched on, you're always pushing on, you're always pushing up. You're kind of, I would say, kind of following the ball. Can you be 70 yards behind the ball at all times if you're a defender? And you're not wasting energy, you're not sprinting, you're walking with it. But I think teams have to start really, there's college basketball teams in America, famous teams that would have won championships, that would have been pressing all the time, that would have played a real high octane game and tried to push the tempo and push their rhythm and impose that on the Dubs. And I don't think the Dubs have that done to them enough, teams imposing something different on them. We
really wanted to see what Eamon Fitzmaurice's Kerry were going to do when they next came up against Dublin, but it never actually happened. We didn't get the opportunity to see that. Was there a specific game plan that you've been building all year with the express intention of it being ready whenever you needed to face Dublin?
There's not really one thing. The reason I picked the kickouts for this section is because teams talk about the kickouts and trying to make Dublin kick it out. Like if you're going to give Dublin the ball every time, they're like a basketball team. No, they're too smart. They're not going to run down the pitch and root a ball in or like you even see with the mark in the league. They're so used to bouncing the ball in front of guys and playing the percentage pass all the time that they actually found it hard to kick a ball on the full to a guy, because that's a more riskier pass and it's something that they don't really do. They really play the percentages in their shots on target at the post, and they play their percentages with their passes. So that's them having the ball all the time. So what you have to try and do is, and what we tried to do with Kerry a few times, is make that ball for them harder to get by making Cluxton put it down and kick it out 50, 60 yards and have it up in the air. And of course, they've got great midfielders in Macaulay and Fenton and James McCarthy and Brian Howard and all these guys. But still, if it's up in the air, you've half a chance. If you get a box in it and get a break and you've bodies up, that'd be the big thing. We did the press from kickouts after frees at times, but I think the team that gets used to being in a press for 70 minutes, and you actually save. People say, oh, you'll burn off energy doing that. You'll actually save energy because you're walking up. All the defenders are following the ball. If the ball is up in the half forward line, the defenders are starting to go. If it goes into the full forward line, they're out. They get out. They walk out to the middle of the field. And when the ball goes dead, they're standing there. But it's definitely saves more energy than giving Cluxton the kick out and going over and back, following them and tracking them and trying to tackle them and Dublin then have the ball for 2 or 3 minutes, and eventually they're probably going to score anyway. So you've done 3 or 4 minutes of tackling and tracking back, and you've your full forwards chasing Johnny Cooper and Owen Merchant down the field. Whereas, if you can make that ball be kicked out over your head, trust me, I was a full forward back in 2006 and in 2016, and it was a completely different environment. When you got your score in 2006, you stood there with your hands up, and the keeper kicked it all over your head, and you got your breather until Darragh O'Shea caught it and the ball was coming again. Whereas now, if you let a short kick out go, you could find yourself back in the full back line chasing a fella, or back in the half back line chasing a fella. Then you have to get back up, and then you have to have energy to win your ball again. So I think that's the huge thing, is if you can make Dublin kick every ball out long, I think you have a better chance of winning.
That makes a lot of sense. Let's move on. We've got the heavyweights next.
Yeah, look, obviously we're talking heavyweight boxing because I think we have, it's been a division that has been gone for a long time, maybe since kind of Holyfield Tyson time. But these 3 boys that are here now, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, and obviously, look, we have to give probably Ruiz a mention, but I'd say Joshua will come back and sort that. But Fury's kind of a modern day Ali in a way, because I don't mean he's as good in boxing terms as Ali. Obviously, he's not there yet, but you see his defense the last day. His head movement is crazy. He's an unbelievable character. He's singing to the wife inside in the ring after the fight. He had all them kind of the Apollo Creed stuff coming down to the ring. He's a real showman, and they're talking about this Wilder Fury rematch could be could outsell Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. So it's really good time for heavyweight boxing. And I know they've all got different promotion and they're all with different US companies. So however they make that work is important. But I think it's in a really good place, and it's in an exciting place, because the great thing with heavyweights, when you're watching a heavyweight fight, one good punch could finish it. So I think it keeps everybody on their toes. But I just think it's a great time for heavyweight boxing that we have these 3 characters, and they're all kind of different in a way. Wilder's a real kind of loosey-goose kind of fighter, throws these big haymakers. Joshua's is a phenomenal size of a man, and then you've got Fury, who's 6'8", 6'9", and his unbelievable head speed, and obviously big power. And the fight against Wilder when he woke up like the Undertaker in an old WWF match was unbelievable. So that rematch will be hugely exciting, and they're on about it early next year. So something to look forward to on the heavyweight side of things.
They all have to fight each other. Like I don't know.
Yeah, we do have to get them fighting.
Yeah. I'm not entirely convinced that Anthony Joshua is just going to be able to come back and automatically beat Ruiz now? There's part of me feels that something inside him broke. I was looking up, we were talking about this yesterday with Andy Lee. He's made 55 million quid and his motto when he started was, you know, stay hungry, stay hungry, stay hungry. It's hard to stay hungry when you're that rich and you know that your earning potential isn't going to be automatically connected with what happens in the ring anymore. Under Armour will still give him money. He'll still get like a modelling deal. There'll still be loads of money for Anthony Joshua to do no work for the rest of his life if he decides he doesn't want to get punched by Ruiz and then Wilder and then Fury. So I just hope it happens, because if it doesn't happen, it'll be a long build-up for nothing. Yeah, no, I think it'll happen, Jared. They're just these fights are, you know, even for one-offs for these guys, they're so lucrative, and I think as boxers, and you know, if they've got pride in themselves and they want to actually prove they're the best, they have to make these fights happen. Otherwise, we go on a merry-go-round as into who's better. So, yeah, I think that'll happen, hopefully. Just before we start our next section, it's not really the prediction section. You did accurately predict that Roscommon would beat Mayo, but for some reason you got off the Roscommon train last week. I just want to remind everybody that I stayed on that Roscommon train and predicted accurately that Roscommon were going to beat Galway last week. You predicted accurately. I think I remember you saying you just kind of, I'll go with Roscommon just to go against you. Yeah, well, however I got there, I made the right decision in the end. You got there. They didn't get enough respect in the build-up to the Galway game. They certainly didn't get enough respect in the build-up to the Mayo game. They're going to get respect now because they have forwards and they have a defensive structure and they have an ability to take punches and give it back. Yeah, look, it's the reason I thought that they might struggle a small bit against Galway was just how, because they've Roscommon have fabulous forwards, and they've 4 or 5 very good forwards. So just when you're playing and you're against that Galway setup and they're getting the bodies back and they've got big men back there and they play that defensive style, I just thought that wouldn't suit Roscommon and that they might struggle just to break that down, because Mayo went toe-to-toe with them, and I think if you go toe-to-toe with Roscommon, you're going to be in for a dogfight. And I just fancied Galway to play with that structure and that defensive and make it really hard for Roscommon and you know, kind of stifle them in a way. And they did that, and the game was going like that. And when you look at it at half-time, it's literally, you know, I was looking at it kind of going, this is exactly what I thought was going to happen. And the old adage, they went in at half-time, and they were doing their own, you know, I'd say they were saying to themselves, we're doing fine, Galway we're doing fine, keep it up, we're doing grand, we're going to win, we're in the right position. And in the other dressing room, I'd say Roscommon were kind of knowing they didn't play well, and Anthony Cunningham probably, you know, laid it on the line to them a small bit and said, look, you're right there, but you need to pick it up and you need to start well in the second half. And after half-time, Roscommon went on. In that first 7 or 8 minutes of the second half, you know, you could tell that the Rossies were here and the Rossies were going to put it up to them. And you know, there was fabulous scores kicked, unbelievable scores kicked by Roscommon, and the goal was brilliant. And Cahill Craig's pass for Murta to finish was unbelievable. So no, they'll be delighted, Ger, and yeah, they have to get respect. And they're Division 1 side, so I don't think they didn't get any respect. I picked them against Mayo because I saw them once or twice in the league, and I know they've got good forwards. I knew Connor Cox was coming in. I knew how good of a scorer he was. And I just thought Mayo played them man-to-man. And the only reason I went with Galway is I thought they'd kind of stifle them out, but it didn't work, and fair play to the Rossies. Well, you mentioned Connor Cox. We've got him on the line there. He was one of the ones kicking beautiful scores last week. Connor, good morning to you. How you doing?
Good morning, lads. How are you getting on? Not too bad.
Thanks very much for taking the call.
Morning, Connor.
So, Kieran, we want to talk to Connor about loads of different things, but maybe a bit of the backstory first. How does a Kerry man end up kicking beautiful points off both feet for Roscommon?
Will I let Kieran answer that one, or will I go at it? Or?
No, you go at it there, Mike, because I'm not going to kick it.
No, I suppose, yeah, my father is he's from Roscommon. He's a mad Rossi. I suppose he was always living in Roscommon over the I suppose last number of years, really, and I suppose he was always on to me, would I come up and give it a go, and this and that, and I suppose I always felt to myself that, you know, it's not something that can really happen like that. I kind of felt that if it ever was to happen, I would have to, you know, get the transfer and play well up there with the club, and I suppose eventually maybe hopefully get into training with Roscommon, and I suppose from there then it would be even a tougher ask because you'd be marking very good players in training and all that. But I suppose look, the way it has happened, it's been unbelievable really over the last few months. So I couldn't be happier at the minute now, to be honest.
And Connor, do you know, like we were inside in trainings with Kerry, and you know, you were kind of unlucky, I suppose, at the time where the corner forward position was so strong. How did you know, in them days when you were in there training, what was your feeling coming out? What was your feeling going in? Were you fully confident you could make it, or was it something that like you were kind of it was you were younger as well at the time, obviously. Where was your head at when you were in with Kerry in those early days?
Yeah, I suppose first off, I was to be honest in there, Kieran. I really enjoyed it. Like it was very competitive, but I suppose it was competitive for everyone. I suppose there were times I was happy driving out of training and thinking I did well today, and I suppose there was times coming out of training maybe you're not so happy, like every I think inter-county player, because it is so competitive. But I think the one thing that I could maybe take from the days that I was training with Kerry is just the enjoyment that I got out of it. And I suppose the way I look at it is that was great enjoyment for me. But I mean, I really enjoy training with the Stole Emmets too. I really enjoy training with Field Rangers. So I think maybe just as long as I'm playing football, I'm just very happy. So look, it didn't work out with Kerry for one reason or another. But the fact that I'm with Roscommon now and back playing competitive football, really enjoying it as well as much.
You don't look like somebody who has any regrets about what happened with Kerry, because it's working out so well with Roscommon. Was it a difficult move when you were kind of finally making that decision to go, okay, right, I'm going to throw my lot in with Roscommon? Was there any looking backwards to say, well, actually, maybe I should just give it one more chance, or had you kind of decided, no, that part of my life is finished and I need to look forward?
Well, I think the pressure that was coming from my father now kind of made that decision a lot easier. He kind of basically just said that, look, we'll just give it a year. If things work, they work. And if they don't, they don't. But look, I suppose when you want to look back in maybe 10 years' time, when you're finished playing football, that you don't want to have any regrets. And I suppose I did really take that on board too, because football is, I know it's kind of cliche, but I suppose when you take it as serious as inter-county footballers do, and the way the game has gone, that you more or less are kind of dedicating, they say, the best years of your life to it. So I suppose the way I was just thinking, I don't want any regrets. I get great enjoyment out of playing football. It's a massive part of my life. So that was a big thing, really. I just didn't want to have looking back and having a regret of maybe what could have happened or what might have happened. I didn't really want to be looking back on that, and I suppose having negative thoughts in a few years' time, you know. And
how quickly do you kind of end up in the county setup, and how quickly do you start feeling comfortable there and that you might actually be able to make the team?
Yeah, well, in fairness to the lads, like they're a great group of lads. I would have known a few before I ever went in. I would have known Enda Smith and Niall Daly, a small bit just through colleges. I would have been in UCC now with Niall, and I actually would have got on great with him while I was there. I suppose, but since the first day I walked into training, obviously I was nervous. I suppose a small bit apprehensive too at the same time, but no, like the lads, they all welcomed me very, very well, and it's kind of like I know them for years now, not just months. So no, it was fairly straightforward, because the group themselves are just a sound bunch of lads, and I suppose that makes a great help too, like, you know. A lot of pressure in those early training sessions, I can only imagine, where you're trying to prove yourself, like, you know, you're coming. Yeah. What were they like? I think the big thing for me was really the fitness. I think things happen so fast. I probably didn't have enough time that I wanted to maybe get in better shape going in. So I think that was my main concern for the first few weeks anyway. Jesus, I must get the fitness up here. So I had enough of things to be worrying about with that than to be concerned about anything else, to be honest. And
it's sometimes that's no harm to be just, if you're worrying about fitness, because fitness is something that you can get, Connor, obviously by being drilled around the pitch in a few sessions. You'll get your fitness back. But just your point kicking, since you've gone in there, the league was sensational. You had unbelievable scores in the league game. Just for even any young listeners listening, Connor, you're one of the best kickers in the country. how much did you practice when you were young? Because we see all these young kids now, they're on their phones and we're trying to get them out kicking. How much practice did you put into that part of your game without giving a kind of cliche answer? Was it something that you said to yourself, I must get down every week and do kicking, I must get extra sessions? Did you do stuff before or after trainings, or did you get your own sessions in, or what?
Yeah, look, I suppose without sounding too cliche, I know they say just practice, but I think, Kieran, like, you know yourself, like, I think that's really what it is. There was days there when I would have been younger. I suppose social media wasn't really around at the time. Maybe it was just coming in, and you know, you could make up so many excuses, maybe not to go down to the pitch, but it was something that I really, really enjoyed. I would be fairly competitive in all aspects of my life, and the one thing that I hated doing as a young boy playing a game was kicking a wide. I don't know what it was. I just absolutely hated it. So there would have been a few games there I would have maybe, I suppose, in club games played poor and kicked a few bad wides. And like, the first thing in my mind would have been, even during the game, say, you know yourself, when playing the games in your younger, games go against you and you could lose by 10 or 15 points or whatever. So I probably would have had it in my own mind as soon as this whistle blows, now I'm going straight down to the sports field, you know, this evening, and going for a few kicks. So I just think, obviously, if young listeners, if you want to take anything, you need to practice. I think anybody would tell you that, but I just think I have that competitive streak in me too, that I just really did not like kicking wide. So I just wanted to go down to the sports field and go to the same position I would have kicked wide in the game, and had 10 or 15 shots there and that, like, so just really, I suppose, look, without sounding too cliche, but it's practice, and it is just all is practice.
How much room is there? Go on, sorry.
Go on, Gary. I was just interested. I read Colin Keyes' piece yesterday about the switch and the parentage rule for intercounty players, and obviously you're an example, Connor, of how it's worked unbelievably well. But maybe for other fellas that are in counties where they're not getting a look in, or they're not getting a break, and they are good enough as you are, you know, you're the perfect example of how it works. But would you encourage guys that are maybe in a county that they're from and they can't get in, and maybe they have a parent from another county, that they could say, well, look, that county football experience is a great buzz and I want to experience it. Would you be encouraging them to go explore that? And what are the pitfalls that could have, you know, what's the worst case scenario that could have happened to you versus what has happened to you winning the Connacht Championship and being man of the match in the two big games? They're the two flip sides. But I guess for guys that are thinking about making the switch, what would your advice be?
Yeah, I suppose it's actually a very good point by you, Kieran, because, like, obviously it all sounds great there, what you just said, but I mean, that's only kind of a small part of the story. Like, the amount of hard work that somebody has to put in to be in intercounty football first of all, like, I don't think there's much point making a massive decision like that if kind of you're not prepared to put in the work. Like, to be fair, before I did it, I was willing to sacrifice, you know, the next 2 years of my life to make it. And I to be honest, I didn't think it was going to happen so fast like this. I was prepared to really knuckle down for the next 5 years to make it happen. So that's the big thing, really. I think it's like anything, really. If you're not prepared to maybe go full hog at it,
full tilt,
I wouldn't be encouraging it. But look, it is a great opportunity, the parentage rule. And I suppose before I even did the transfer, I probably didn't do enough research into it. There was a bit of a mess there with the club that I was meant to be joining in Roscommon, Aero Oak, and my own club, Listowel. But in fairness to both clubs, like, they both understood that it basically, look, it was just the rules that I suppose I hadn't done enough research anyway personally, and from I can't really speak on behalf of anybody else, but that was just one thing that.
But you'd encourage other guys to that if they want to get the buzz that you've got in the last, you know, and the unbelievable days you've had so far in the Roscommon jersey, would you be telling fellas, go for it if you want to play?
Oh, definitely, yeah, 100%. Like, encourage whatever brings you happiness, go for it. And if you're willing to, I suppose, put yourself out there, and look, things mightn't have worked out for me, and I mightn't have got on the Roscommon team and Roscommon panel and all that, but look, it happened. But look, just have no regrets, and if you do want to play intercounty football, or if you want to be an intercounty footballer and you feel you're not getting a crack at the whip or whatever in your own county, go for it if the option's there. I would recommend.
And are you prepared for this to change your life? Because Carlo Dwyer, obviously a county man of the two of you lads, is a cult hero in Kildare football, and he lives in Kildare now, and he's embedded in Kildare football culture. And I just wonder, are you ready for something similar as well, for that part of the next part of your life outside of football, to be, stitched into Roscommon?
Oh yeah, well I'm currently working now in Carrick and Shannon with Core Systems. So I'm very, very happy in that role. I'm delighted Philip Martin gave me the opportunity to come on board. So I'm delighted now, over the moon. I'm there with the last about 6 weeks. I'm really enjoying it, and I think it's a career that I think I can get on well with, and I'm really looking forward to it too.
Yeah, so it is a big lifestyle choice as well. It's not just moving for football reasons, but obviously that's hugely important as well. You have to go for it, and you have to embrace your new surroundings. Yeah,
exactly. That's it. And in fairness to all the Rossies up here, they're all very, very nice people. Like there's never really any negative talk from, even when we weren't going so well in the league. We got relegated. Like, there was still great hope up here. And as a group of players and management, I'm sure we were very, very disappointed with the relegation from the league. But no, in fairness to all the people, like they're all still looking forward to the championship, and I suppose they had great hope for it. So look, I mean, that just, I suppose, sums them up as people, that they're positive people in general, that they wouldn't really be too negative, if you get me.
Yeah.
Connor, how was the crack after the game, Connor, the last day? I want to get to the banter after the game, and your visit to that famous barber there. What's his name?
Paddy Joe. Yeah. No, the crack.
Paddy Joe.
Yeah, Paddy Joe. So I think that in 2017, when they last won it, that they made a trip into him too. So we said to ourselves that we'd have to bring the cup back into him. My first time meeting him was the Wednesday before the game. Myself and Ronan Daly just went for a swim in the Abbey, and he was in there, and he came over and introduced himself. And Jesus, he's an awful sound fella at all. He was telling us that he came up with the name the Rossies, apparently. He was delighted. He said that the Rossies are, on behalf of 65,000 people, he gave them the name, so he was delighted with that. And no, in fairness, he's a great character, and I mean, when you see the joy that brings him, bringing the cup into him, I mean, it's all worth it.
I presume you free haircuts for life. Do you have free championship haircuts for life?
I don't know about that. We must still talk about that.
Come on, Paddy Joe, get out the clippers, give the boys free championship haircuts.
Good stuff, Connor. Best of luck with everything. Thanks a million for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Connor. Good man.
No, thanks very much, lad. Cheers.
All right. Is there still more to come from him? He seems like he's nowhere near his peak just yet. He's actually just getting better and better and better, and so there's loads more.
Yeah, he's a real confidence player, Ger, and I think that the point he kicked on the outside of the left boot the last day will be the score. I find it hard to see a better point being kicked this year, just even to have the balls to take it on, to be honest with you. But when you're that good and you put in the amount of practice he's had, and that's why we've coaches telling kids to get off these devices and get out and practice your kicking, because you just can't kick points like that if you're not practicing non-stop. So yeah, I think there's more to come from this guy, because I think he could light up Croke Park yet before the year is out. It's
time for us to get into our predictions really quickly.
No matter.
So will Kerry cover the spread? Do Mayo win/cover the spread? It's Kerry is 6 points, Mayo is 6 points, Dublin are 12 points against Meath, and Monaghan are 2-point favourites against Armagh. Let's start with Kerry. Kerry are going to beat Cork, and they're going to beat them handy, right? That's what you're going to tell me here, right?
Yeah, I think they'll cover that spread. I don't think they'll do. I think Cork are in a slightly better position than they were last year, as in just coming into the game, just from the confidence they would have got of how well they played and how well they moved up front against Limerick. So they'll be in a better position. But I still see Kerry just about covering that spread. I see Mayo covering it as well, to be honest. What did you say the Dublin spread was?
12 points.
Yeah. The Meath are too proud for that, I'd say. But again, it all depends on the start. But the bookies don't often get it wrong with I think Meath will do better than that. I think it's a big day for the county. I think their fans have to come out in massive numbers to Croke Park. Whatever about the Dubs not showing up, I think the Meath crowd have to get behind their team and go in there and just support them from the start. It's a Leinster final. It's a big day out, and if their team are to have any chance of putting in a performance, they need a lot of proud Royals in the in the crowd, because it's a big one. So they'll maybe Dublin by 11.
Yeah, I think the Dubs are going to win, but I think they'll ease up, and so it'll be 9-10 points that they'll win by.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about Kerry covering the spread. I think Cork are going to get inside that. I think Down are going to get inside 6 points against Mayo, and I think.
Well, Ger, this is supposed to work the other way around. I'm supposed to be giving the Kerry lines, and you're supposed to be doing it the other way around.
Kerry are holding their powder all the way through to this year's semi-final. That's when we're going to finally see them fully emerge. And for what it's worth, I think Antrim are definitely going to give Kildare their fill of it in Belfast, in Corrigan Park.
That's a game now, Ger, that might sum up what we were talking about Parnell Park earlier on. I think that Antrim that's going to be a really intimidating place to go. So yeah, they'll give that a good rattle.
And the last one, Monaghan against Armagh. I think Armagh are a good shout to win this, actually.
Well, I'm going to go against that. Monaghan will be so disappointed after their Cavan performance that they'll be hurting the last few weeks. They're going to be really training hard, working hard, and I think they'll show maybe how I think they'll show up and show that their early season form was a bit of a blip, and that they're now back to make a tilt at the Super 8s.
Kieran, shot clock is over for this week. We'll see you again next week. Thanks a million.
In the books. Thanks, Ger.